Thoughts on the coWIN data leak that happened, I think?
Yes, so the coWIN data leak, which actually occurred due to intent by the government, and I say that with responsibility because when the coWIN website was made, it did not have a privacy policy, and my colleagues at the Internet Freedom Foundation had to approach the High Court of Delhi, and then based on an order of the High Court, it made a privacy policy. So imagine you're vaccinating an entire country, and you don't even have a privacy policy, and somebody files an application in court and you still don't make it. You wait for the court order, and then it comes about. Secondly, the coWIN.
I'm so sorry. But I mean, you just said it, but to be, I mean, that is just a sad state of affairs, no? I mean,
Yeah.
for you, it must be a day-to-day thing, but like, I mean, that is just a bizarre state of affairs to be, for a
So
website which is handling
So
millions of
Ryan,
people.
when I sat down with friends, and my friends are generally very supportive of what I do, but sometimes they like pulling my leg and being much more honest with me. And those moments make them a little less bearable. They say that privacy ko kisko pada hai? What are you working on? Nobody cares. There's no privacy. Forget about it. Okay. And that's some of the comments we get on our work as well. So what is actually a little much more dispiriting, which would be more motivating, is that public officials, which need to follow and actualize uh, constitutional rights, need to also uh, move beyond this level of cynicism, because it's not as if how can you be so cavalier? And also with coWIN, I wrote a op-ed in Indian Express, and I've given a public lecture on it also. If you look at how coWIN was built, the basis of vaccination, if you talk to people who are public health experts, is vaccine equity, especially in communicable diseases, which means that you need to vaccinate people who are at risk first, and then universalize it, and socio-economic basis of discrimination, which means that the rich or the ones in city who get more availability of vaccine should not be the case, because public health services will be bad in rural parts. In fact, you will need to equally do it to be equitable. What does an online digital platform do? An online digital platform prefers people who have access to the internet. Who has access to the internet? More men have access to the internet than women. How can a person register on coWIN and get vaccinated? Is it the only way? Yes, it was the only way for the age group of 18 to 44 when the second wave was at its peak. Let us remember more. There are more that through one smartphone, which was the basis of registering on coWIN, only one OTP and registration was initially offered. The registration did had a captcha which prevented people who were disabled from registering on that platform, an at-risk category, and compulsory vaccination. More, let me tell you more about coWIN. coWIN by itself has been heralded by in metropolitan cities as a success. But if you look at academic papers which have done regression based analysis, as well as a very good Reuters report, the share of population in the metro cities and amongst men who were first vaccinated was far, 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 far higher. And this is also because coWIN was launched only in English. There are, in fact, reports from Delhi, one in the Indian Express, in which young men are going to the Sarpanch and asking, how do we register for this? We do not know English by itself. What is this OTP we can do? And it to you and me, it may seem like, hey, maybe this person is stupid, doesn't know how to use a cell phone. But the coWIN website required a smartphone, access to the internet. It didn't work on ordinary phones.
So, did I hear you right when you said coWIN was the only way to access the vaccine? Is that fair?
From in the age group of 18 to 44, I can, or 38, but that was the only, there was a circular by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare saying that in that age bracket you could only do it, because there are two ways how you can get vaccinated. One was through walkthrough, matlab, you just go to hospital where vaccination is happening, both public hospitals and private. But the for other age groups, but for 18 to 44, this was compulsory.
Oh, okay. Okay, because like I mean, um,
Initially it was compulsory, and it was argued that this was to ration the vaccine. But then you're rationing it on the basis of a person's ability to read English, to have a smartphone, and access the internet, which is a form of socio-economic discrimination.
I mean, I can sympathize with the. I mean, I can sympathize with the English. I mean, just to push back maybe a little bit in the sense that maybe I can sympathize with the website being in English in the sense that maybe it's just easier to develop, and it'll just take longer to go through all the major languages in India and give support in that way. So maybe if I was to. If I was to be in this, I mean, if I was to steelman the case of the government, maybe it's much easier to get the developers in whatever you have in English, just push it out so that people can get access. But the part where it was only available, where you can get vaccine only through coWIN, that seems sure that seems a bit. Yeah, I can imagine a lot of people who may not know English, but who may not even have a proper smartphone. That might be a little fucked up. I don't know.
See the problem is at the peak of the second wave. Okay, when you are vaccinating people, it's compulsory by itself. You are preferring in a life-saving situation people who have more money than those who do not, through a system design, not because society is unequal by itself. So this is the basis of my objection, Ryan. And what it goes to show is a completely cavalier approach. After the directions of the High Court, in fact, it was made multilingual. It was made accessible for people with disabilities who are a at-risk group, and a privacy policy was placed into there. Now, the coWIN data leak, coming back to it, the government went with all bluster and denial. It said that some other database had been leaked, etc., things like that. It's been 3 weeks. We don't have any update. What happened, sir? So data protection by itself, data leaks. We have built a tracker. It's called plugthebreach.in at IFF. It documents all these data breaches which are taking place. Have users been notified? What is the text of the response? Is it meaningful? Are they at risk? And finally, what kind of security improvements have been made to prevent future breaches? This is the process of accountability. Accountability and transparency is not because you want to attack a government minister or a public official. It is because you want to improve the system. It is through honestly confronting problems we can come to solutions which can help all of us, and that's our objective here. And in coWIN, also I've written about it, but what I quite often see is that we are not investing uh, enough energy, public resources in the kind of conversations you and I are having. Quite often, we are thinking about we'll make an online platform, it will work, we'll have a dashboard, and everything will be kumbaya. And quite often, I think so. That's the problem. These things work, but they work for someone and they don't work for someone else. And we need to be much more mindful, especially when there are public offerings and services regarding life saving vaccination, which is being preferred at a specific point in time.